All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This is a live this is one of the unique live episodes of the 21st Century Visionary podcast, and we're here with serial entrepreneur and philanthropist Art Norins. Thank you so much, Art, for coming on and being willing to share your knowledge with the next generation of entrepreneurs and innovators.
My pleasure. An honor. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So just to go into your bio, Art Norins is a proven entrepreneur who has successfully built multiple businesses from concept to reality. He's also a passionate philanthropist who deeply cares about the planet and all of its inhabitants. Art currently serves as the CEO of RS11, a big data artificial intelligence company he recently founded that wants to do well and good at the same time. A triple bottom line focus: planet, people, and profit. Prior to RS11 charity, Art Hub, Art served as the CEO of Nor1, a tech company that provides travel suppliers with innovative and patented solutions, business intelligence, and analytics to increase revenue while simultaneously enhancing their guest travel experience. Nor1 has a global footprint with customers including Hilton Worldwide, Intercontinental, and Caesars. Nor1's investors include SAP, Goldman Sachs, Excel Partners, to name a few. At the beginning of 2017, Art founded the nonprofit Heart Hub, Inc., which is now the nonprofit arm of RS11. RS11 charity drives awareness and funding to quality early childhood development and parent development with the intention of going upstream to reduce homelessness, incarceration, poverty, mental and physical health issues, and etc. And Art is really passionate about supporting fellow entrepreneurs. As you can see, he's willing to come on today, but he's also been an angel investor, mentor, board and advisory board roles, or has speaking engagements at Cornell University, Erasmus, sorry about that, Harvard, Purdue, Stanford, and other universities. His philanthropic initiatives include working in sub-Saharan Africa, where he served as the board of the Indiana Institute of Global Health, and worked with the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula. He also serves as the DocuSign Advisory Board and Purdue University Strategic Alliance Council. And most importantly, Art is the father of Marie Claire Norins, who is a student at Purdue University as well. So thank you so much for coming on, Art.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And also, she's a graduate of Cupertino High School. So
Yeah.
big fan of Tino. So fantastic.
Yeah, so that's where I'm from, and I'm sure some of the viewers as well. So yeah, it's great to have you. And just to get into it, could we start by just talking about your childhood, since obviously most viewers are high schoolers like me and sort of young people looking to maybe get into entrepreneurship and make an impact in the world. So when you were, let's say, in middle school or high school, how were you sort of thinking about your world, about the world and your like role in it? What were some of the, I know that's a big question, but were you entrepreneurial from a young age? Were you interested in what you're doing right now, like social impact from a early age?
So no, you're asking me a lot of great questions. So I think to start off, you kind of have to know kind of the family I grew up in. I'm the surprise mistake. I actually have three older sisters, and I'm 10 years younger than my youngest sister. So there's a lot of medicine in my family. My father's a physician. Sisters are in medicine. When I saw blood as a kid, I passed out. So I knew that wasn't for me. But I always,
Yeah.
I love people, and I love building things.
Hmm.
And so ever since I was a real little kid, actually, I had businesses. I sold Hostess Twinkies to my fellow classmates in kindergarten. So these issues that I have mentally go back a long time. I used to sell used toys. I used to collect my friends, all their used toys, and redistribute them and sell them. And a lot of it was the things came from my own passion and interest. Like I like
Hmm.
Hostess Twinkies. And so,
Yeah.
because I like them, super unhealthy. I'm not proud of this, but like, yeah. And so I thought my friends would like them, so then I brought them to school, which you're not
Hmm.
supposed to do. And I'm not advocating you doing things that you shouldn't do. But I quickly learned, like, hey, if there's something that I really like, a lot of times other people really like it. So same thing with
Hmm.
toys. A lot of my buddies had toys that they were throwing away and getting rid of, and I was like, hey, I'll take that. And so I started collecting all of it, and I found that there's other kids that wanted it, and then they'd be more than willing to pay for it. And so I learned at a young age, if you have something of value, people will pay for it. And so, you
Mm,
know, when I'm in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, you know, I was doing what I loved doing and then making money from it. So that was a pretty intoxicating combination. And then on top of it, you know, because I like people, people were constantly kind of around me because they knew that I had interesting things kind of going on. So it was
yeah.
like combining everything that was my favorite, together. And so
Mhm.
the entrepreneurial spirit started really early and matured into a big landscaping business. I mowed a lot of lawns
Mhm.
and and then outsourced that work. For whatever reason, well, because my parents, my dad used to take me on a lot of speaking engagements. He had a lot of talks all over
Mhm.
the world. And so at a young age, two
Wow.
things happened is I got exposed to international travel and
Mhm.
domestic travel, which I loved. And the more I traveled across the US and then around the world, the more I was like, I want to do more of this. And then
Yeah.
two, because my parents took me on a lot of these business trips, I was around a lot of adults. So at a pretty young
Mhm.
age, I learned how to communicate with adults and I was
Mhm.
pretty comfortable with adults. And so, which really helped me because then I got to know a lot of the parents, like in my neighborhood, and I'd hear them complaining like, "Oh, my lawn, I need the lawn mowed, I need the windows washed, I need my house
Mm.
painted." And so I'd say, "I'll do it. I'll figure it out." And so all these parents gave me all these jobs, and so that's how
Mhm.
I started a pretty big business because basically all these parents kind of
Mm.
had a good relationship with me, trusted me, and so I do all their work around the house. And then because I had so much
Mhm.
work, I'd outsource it to a lot of my friends that were basically playing video games. And then they wanted to have more money. So
Yeah.
that's what I was doing,
Mhm.
kind of elementary school, middle school. And I
Wow.
only did more of it than in high school.
Mm.
And so much so, I was kind of thinking, hey, this is working really well. Maybe I don't need college. But my parents are like, please get a degree. All my family members they not only have undergraduates, but they have, PhDs and
Mhm.
doctorates and everything else. So I come
Mhm.
from a family of academics and they're like, please
Mm.
get a degree. And so, I ended
Yeah.
up getting an engineering degree at Purdue University. So that
Mhm.
was but the entrepreneurial spirit came very early, and yeah, and yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. That there's a lot to unpack there. So you mentioned how yeah you were into entrepreneurship from a very early age and travel. I know you're really passionate about travel right now as well, and like love to. You're always moving around. Well, I don't know about right now with the yeah with the situation, but in general, like you love traveling. So yeah, definitely love to get into that. But just from what you mentioned, do you think that those like early entrepreneurial experiences, I can definitely relate to some of that. I mean, I'm happy that I have some of that entrepreneurial thing, that drive as well. I was selling used books, I think, in ninth grade, not ninth grade, when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So because I loved reading, so and I thought, why not share these books that I just have, like why not just sell them, rent them out. But yeah, so do you think those kind of early like childhood experiences and entrepreneur experiences, obviously not everyone who becomes a successful entrepreneur necessarily has them, but do you think it's like important, like in high school, if someone who's maybe a freshman right now, or even in middle school or something like that, would you recommend um, they try to intentionally start a business, even if it's not, like, I know for some people it just comes naturally, but is that something that you would recommend intentionally doing as well?
So yeah, a couple things I'd highly recommend. I'm really big
Hmm.
on mentorship. If
Hmm.
you have any interest in kind of having your own company or starting your own business, I can't
Hmm.
emphasize enough the value and importance of finding other people that are older,
Hmm.
that have done, started their own business. No different than you've reached out to me and the kind of questions you're asking me.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people like me that have gone out and been entrepreneurial, started their own business, have screwed up a lot of stuff. Like, a big part of being an entrepreneur is failing, and that's where you learn. It's the only way you fail is when you stop getting up,
Hmm.
and quitting. But that being said, your question is like if there is some kind of, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, think about what you're passionate about. Like, what do you love doing in your free time?
Mm,
I actually, like I was saying earlier, whether it be, because the used toys, I love chess. So a lot of people knew that I love
mm,
chess, so they'd give me their old chess sets, and so, and then I also like making money. There was, and it's not so much just making money. Money just gives you freedom to do different things, and
mhm,
so, um, you know, so there was different drivers for me. But yes, I highly recommend, like, if you have an interest, and actually, like, I had a lemonade stand. I can't, like,
mhm,
communicate enough, like, how just like a simple lemonade stand, how much you can learn from that. Because
mm,
you need to get the ingredients, you need to, set up your table, you need to market, you need to
yeah,
promote it. The quality of your product better be good, or people won't
mhm,
come back. And so
mhm,
my suggestion to all of you that want to be entrepreneurs, just go out and try a lemonade stand, like, or
mm,
selling used books. I think it's beautiful. Or
yeah,
in this day and age, to set up a simple website. And if
mhm,
you're interested in, selling something online, there's just get out
mhm,
there, try it, and then find mentors that were high school students at once themselves. And you're
mhm.
lucky that everyone on the planet fits in that category. And ask their advice, and have their assistance, because that's invaluable. But that's definitely
Got it.
where it starts. Those are the early seeds.
Yeah, yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, so um, going on to when you got into college, and like you mentioned, you were considering not even going to college. I mean, it doesn't necessarily like the path you had in your head and what you were doing at that time was already some very sort of advanced for your age, and you wanted to just, I guess, roll with it. Um, or pursue entrepreneurship. So do you think that like that college degree, even though you didn't necessarily want to do it yourself, did that help you? Did that influence you in your work later on? Because obviously, that's something I'm definitely like thinking a lot about. Is like if I if I do go to college, like what do I want to really get out of the experience? What is actually valuable apart from just a degree? Like how can I make the best use of it? So what would you say on that front? Like for an entrepreneur, how can college like shape their life later on?
Well, this is a delicate question.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this delicate discussion with my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
because I originally grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Indiana. Right after I
Yeah.
graduated from Purdue, that's in the Midwest, I came out to Silicon Valley, because this is
Mm-hmm.
where, ever since I was a little kid, I love mentors, and I'm a ferocious reader, and I read a ton of history and biographies. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of, I talk about mentorship. Mentorship can come in a lot of different ways, in a personal interaction with someone, but also reading books, whether it be about Steve
Mm-hmm.
Jobs, Bill Gates, a whole litany of people. And so my feeling and heart were, my people are out here in Silicon Valley. And so,
Yeah.
I moved out to Silicon Valley, and I asked myself a lot, instead of going to Purdue for 5 years, I spent a lot of money. It's not inexpensive to go to college, and the
Yeah.
two ways,
Yeah.
it's your time and your money. And
Mm-hmm.
so, a lot of times I think to myself, if I had, instead of used, whatever, as an out of state student, you're paying about 40,000, 50,000 a year to go to, like, university like Purdue. And so for $200,000, and all the time you commit, is there a better return on investment? And so I can argue both sides of the fence. I could go, like, hey, you know what? If I could have, after I graduated from high school, if I could have, now I'm doing an extreme. If I could have, graduating from high school, move out to Silicon Valley and shadow Steve Jobs from Apple, this is the ultimate, like, or a Bill Gates, or somebody like that, and just not get paid, just literally just sit with him in
Yeah.
meetings, sit with,
Mm-hmm.
or a Meg Whitman, or whoever, male, female, um, and shadow
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Probably for me, I think that would have been, like, amazing, and what I would have learned from those individuals probably was a lot more than I could have learned at school. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's me talking now. I'm, whatever, 51 years old, and I've had success, um, and like, what's beautiful about going to school, it's also an insurance policy, because the reality,
Mm-hmm.
is, and I did learn a lot. Like, when I was at school, engineering was really tough for me. And because I'm much more a hands-on type of person, I'm not a really theoretical person. And where I went to engineering, it was very theoretical. And bottom line, academically, I did extremely well all through high school, but engineering kind of kicked my butt. And so that's why it took me 5 years to get through engineering instead of 4 years. I was basically kind of a straight A student through high school. And then all of a sudden I got a whole rainbow of different grades in engineering. And so, but in many ways that made me stronger because, I didn't give up and I did make it through engineering. I did graduate. And a lot with life is getting kicked kind of in the stomach and doing things that are not maybe your favorite things to do, the most pleasant, and then figuring out a way to get through it. So, I think a degree is valuable. But I really think more is your passion to learn and grow. That's the Super Bowl. Your ability, if you're a self-starter and you already like have a hyperdrive, you want to start your own company, you want to build a tech company, you've already built networks of relationships where you could mentor, and you have an older person that they've already would take you under their wing. Maybe postponing, college for 6 months or a year. I don't want to get in trouble with any parents here. I don't want to, because like this can be a really discussion.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
More than ever, and especially adding COVID, my daughter right now, she's at Purdue University, but she's, most of her classes are online, so she's kind of in a dorm room, and a lot of it's not even getting the normal college experience, which I think is very important, the whole social component.
Yeah.
And so I think we all need to kind of question the return on investment, and I think there's a lot of different ways to get from A to B. So there's not one right answer. I think you as an individual you as the junior in high school, the senior in high school, kind of like, maybe you've already started a business, you've already have revenue, you have a level of confidence like, hey, look, I've got this. I don't really need the college right now. Or if I need to take a specific class because, I need to learn some specific item, then you'll take that class online or whatever. So it's not a simple answer. Does that make sense? But you got to think through yourself and where you are. But if you're kind of confused, you don't know what you want to do in life, you're not really sure what you're interested in, then maybe college is the right thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big thing that like a lot of people have expressed their opinion on it. Like a lot of big like top entrepreneurs. Like obviously we know the big stories like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates who dropped out and stuff like that. But obviously there's a lot more nuance to it, and it's definitely something you have to think about and definitely think about. And I know people have mentioned to me, like when I've asked this question, is it also sort of teaches you, I guess, how to think in a way, because like just I'm guessing an engineering degree, you are trained to think critically and like sort of gain those skills and stuff like that over time. So I'm sure that probably also helps you and later on. So yeah, but definitely want to hear more about like your college experience. I know that you mentioned in the talk you gave at Cupertino that you found a mentor there. I think you said the CEO of USPS, if I'm not mistaken, or UPS, yeah, UPS. He sort of gave you an advice that really helped you out or to get into sales. So yeah, could you talk about that, how you sort of got that opportunity to talk to him and where that led you?
So yeah, no, great points. So one, that my academic career in engineering, I didn't really like that, but it did teach me how to think critically, which I think is very valuable, like the whole, the process. So I think that was something that very valuable out of my engineering degree. Two, I highly involved, if you're at school or what high school, college, get involved in the school. When I say get involved in the school, one of the best things I got involved with, and I'm going to get to the answer to your question, is I got involved with Engineering Student Council at Purdue University. And Engineering Student Council, they put on one of the largest job fairs in the world, actually, for college students. And you host all these companies that come on campus that are recruiting for students that are graduating in all the different engineering disciplines. And what I love is I love, once again, working with people, taking ideas, making things happen. And so I met all these business people, and that I really enjoyed. Anytime I met business people and kind of heard about, what it was really like to work at an Apple, or what is at a Microsoft or a Boeing or whatever. So I really enjoyed that. So that inspired me, because those were kind of like my mentors also, as I was talking to these people that, were in corporate. I told them, hey, I want to be the CEO of a big Fortune 500 company someday. How do I best, go along on that path? And so I learned a lot from them. And so they're indirectly like mentors. So I advocate and said, get involved in high school. When like parents come on campus and they're talking about their jobs, go listen to different parents and see what resonates with you, and follow your heart, follow your, like, if you listen and it inspires you, you want to learn more, that's your heart is telling you, where you should be spending your time and effort. So what I also loved at Purdue is they'd always also have some big guest speakers that would come to the university. And unlike living in Silicon Valley, where here you get a lot of just rock stars from just all, like, amazing people that live here. But in Indiana, you don't, you don't have a lot of, like, people that are running big companies, tech companies, that come and visit the campus. But when they did, I was always the first to go to their talks. And one of the talks that I sat in was when the CEO of UPS came. He gave a talk, and just, he told about, he studied engineering when he was at school. He had a problem getting through engineering. But he wanted to run his own business. And, like, as he talked, I was like, hey, this is me, but, like, 30 years older. And actually he's probably 50 now. Now he's probably my age when I met him when I was back in college. And what he was saying really resonated with me. So I'm one of these people, if I hear a lecture or somebody talk, I'm the guy that immediately goes, right after the talk, goes to the front of the room and then tries to stand in line and meet the person that just spoke. And then I'm kind of probably to the edge of being a stalker. Is if I really was impressed by their talk, I'd go, can I walk with you to your car? I have, like, a litany of questions. So I want to be CEO of UPS someday. What do I need to do to take your path? And so, one of the big pieces of advice that he gave me, because I was told him, I want to start my own company someday. I think I'm really entrepreneurial. And he goes, what I think would be really valuable for you is, he goes, you should go into 100% commission sales after you graduate from Purdue. And I was like, what does that have to do with running your own company? Well, he said, for those that are maybe not familiar what 100% commission sales is if it's when you're selling a product, if you sell the product, then you get paid. But if you don't sell the product, you don't get paid. So what does that translate into? Like, if you're good at sales, you can make crazy, you can make $1 million, $2 million a year. You can make a lot of money. If you're not very good at selling, then you make nothing. So it's kind of this live and die by the sword. And so what he was explaining, he goes, a lot of people want to have their own company and build their own company. But if you're really not good at selling, he goes, you're going to have a hard time building a company, because you got to not only sell your vision, your product and your idea, but you got to sell yourself. You have to sell to investors of why they should invest in you. Like, as a CEO of a company and as a founder of multiple companies, like, that's what I'm like. Every day I'm constantly selling. I'm selling the vision. I'm recruiting team members to work at the company. You're selling, the vision and why they should, people should work here, raising money. So he goes, you should look for jobs that are 100% commission technical sales jobs. And he goes, if you do well at that, then you should get a lot of confidence from that you probably have a lot of the right skill sets to build your own company. So that's what I did. Is actually, that had a big impact on then the types of jobs I was looking for as I graduated. And he goes, it doesn't matter what kind of sales. He goes, as long as it's technical sales, 100% commission. But he goes, go, maybe if all things are equal, go into an industry that you're interested in. But he goes, even if you're
Mhm.
not that interested, you can get a lot of experience. So I actually went in and sold. My first job out of college was 100% commission salesperson for commercial air conditioning equipment. This is the air conditioning equipment for big stadiums and for biotech facilities and so many. It's not the sexiest
Mhm.
business, but it was right what he said. I actually was pretty good at it, and I did really well. And so, it gave me a lot of confidence, and I made a lot of money from it. So then I broke away. I did that for a
Mhm.
while, and then I started my own air conditioning business. And so that was really good advice. But like, actually, it wasn't like I actually stayed in touch with him for a long period of time after. It's just I stayed in touch. I walked with him out to his car. I had a little bit of communication, but that advice had huge impact on the rest of my life. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a lot of great information there. Yeah, so I think just to highlight some of the stuff you said in case people missed it, like one, you mentioned getting involved with your school is really a great way to get those opportunities. I've definitely, yeah, heard that from others as well. Like, it's, for example, yeah, you're even you mentioned the job fair and being able to get opportunities that way, but especially if you're organizing an event, I think like if you have if you're part of, say, the entrepreneurship club, or you're president of that, like you can just invite speakers and be able to sort of get mentors that way. And so yeah, it sounds, I think that's some great advice there. And yeah, now getting into like sales, 100% commission sales. So we actually got a comment in the chat from Nicole, who's one of my mentors recently, and she's been an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur as well. And she said she basically doubles down on that point, saying 100% commission sales is a great way to work towards building your own company. So yeah, definitely great advice. So talking about the sales, like how did you, were you a natural, like when you got that job, was it something that came naturally, or what were some of the lessons you learned from doing that job, about sales, about getting people to buy into your vision, getting to sell a product?
So, actually, before I got the job out of college, I had an intern. I'm also big on anytime you can get work experience. I think that's
Hmm.
invaluable. If you can,
Hmm.
some universities like with engineering, you can do a co-op program where you're at your one semester you're at school, and then the next semester you're interning at some company. And so, getting a blend, I think the more you can get exposed to work experience is really valuable, and that can be a summer internship too. But why I bring that up is after this gentleman shared with me, you should look for a 100% commission sales job. Right after I met him, I think it was my junior year.
Hmm.
And that was my first junior year because I did, as I said, it was a 5 year journey. And so I specifically looked for internships that were technical sales. And I actually went to a company called Great Lakes Chemical Corporation where it was technical sales in the chemical industry for fire retardant material. And I just remember like my first day at work there, the my boss said, "Do you know how to golf?" And like I really didn't know how to golf. And he's like, "Well, you need to learn how to golf." And I was kind of like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, so he was a member at a country club, and he sent me, for free lessons at the country club to play golf. And I was like, this is like a dream come true. Because I work hard, but I like to have fun and I like to be outside. So, you know, I just remember thinking to myself, this is really different than my normal engineering classes. And so then, I started learning how to play golf. And then he took me to a lot of the sales meetings. And a lot of the sales meetings were dinners and lunches. And we went to the US Open. We went to a lot of really cool stuff. And a lot of part of the sales process, what I started learning is people buy from people that they trust and respect. And
Hmm.
like I didn't really understand a lot of that stuff. And I was like, I love this stuff. I love people. I love like and like, kind of entertaining, but I think I'm pretty technically sound. So because people want to have a great product, great solution, but they also want to work with somebody they like working with. And
Hmm.
so there was this whole side that of the people side of it, like the engineering classes were the technical side. I call it, a lot of times you'll hear me, it's the heart and the mind. The mind is more the
Hmm.
technical, kind of the engineering, but then people, why they do things is because they like being, so it's the heart side. And so um, I was like, this is a great combination. It's technical stuff, it's business, it's the people side, it's fun. So you were
Yeah.
asking, then, I wanted to work in an environment where, I could, you know, not only provide a solid technical solution that helped whatever business do whatever it's going to do, but I also wanted to work with the decision makers and not only on the entertainment social side like golfing, but like as you get to know these people, then you start really understanding how, like if they run a biotech facility, like how their facilities actually run, and then I get much more educated on how they run, so then I can be much more knowledgeable in developing solutions that really are win-win. And I just, that whole kind of consulting, working together, being on the same side of the table with your customer, it was like I loved it. And so all of a sudden I
Mm.
went from kind of really disliking engineering to, like, when you add the human aspect with the technical and the heart, then it became really fun. So that's and that was just reinforced when I was working at Train, the commercial air conditioning company.
Mhm.
Um, I supplied these heating and air conditioning systems to all these, semiconductor facilities here in Silicon Valley. But what's really fun is I also supplied all the heating and air conditioning to, at that time, they were building these megaplex movie theaters. You guys made like Century Theaters, AMC, and they were building them all over the world. So
Mhm.
it also combined the international travel, which I also liked. So then I started traveling nonstop globally. And then I also
Mm.
supplied air conditioning and heating to US embassies all over the world. So I was combining, I'm
Mhm.
constantly trying
Mhm.
to basically, if this is the last day I live, I want to do things that I
Mm.
love doing. So I love travel. I'm combining
Mm.
everything that I really love doing. I love working with people. I love traveling. I love international travel. I like making money. I like solving
Mhm.
problems. And so I think, knowing
Yeah.
yourself, there's a famous Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu.
Mm.
Wisdom is
Yeah.
understanding or knowing others. Enlightenment is understanding yourself. And I think that's the
Mm.
whole journey of life, is really trying to better understand who you are and do what you love doing, and follow your heart on those things. But a lot of stuff there, as you said, a lot of stuff to unpack. But go ahead. I hope.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, so another part, I think you just said it best. There's probably not more we can really get into apart from that, but just in terms of the sales, like doing those, like traveling everywhere, doing sales. I'm sure that you probably, especially in the beginning, faced a lot of maybe rejection and had to like sort of learn to deal with that. And I'm sure that's also one of the reasons why sales is probably a big, like a recommendation is like learning to get comfortable with rejection, right? So I'm just curious, like how is that? How did you sort of deal with rejection, and how did that like sort of play into your sales journey?
First of all, your questions that you're asking me, they're so spot on. You're asking me really the $1 trillion questions. So I
Thank you.
applaud you for being very insightful. Because actually, that's probably one of the main things that I hear from my older
Mm.
mentors, and it's the same thing I communicate
Mhm.
to the people I'm mentoring. Is,
Mhm.
you know to build a great company, to build a great organization, to do whatever you do, you're going
Mhm.
to fail a lot, and get used to it. But failing's not bad. That's how you learn. I,
Mhm.
I remember one of my mentors goes, it's like when you're learning skiing. You could stay on the bunny
Mhm.
hill, the green hill, all your life and never fall down. But if you never fall down, you never learn and grow. And typically you
Mhm.
fall down and grow when you go to the medium level,
Mhm.
skiing, or the diamonds and the blacks.
Mhm.
And so, failing is so important. The thing that separates the successful people from the losers is is the successful people, they keep failing, but they keep getting up. And the only time they become a loser is when they stop getting up. When they quit, then it's over.
Mhm.
When somebody quits and throws in the towel, then it's over. But as long as you keep getting up and
Mhm.
you're honest, you're transparent, like another big thing, honesty, integrity, more than
Mhm.
ever, everything that's going on in the world, I can't emphasize enough. Speaking honestly, truthfully, um,
Mhm.
these are really important things. But like if you're trying your best and something doesn't work the way like just the beginning of this call, we had some technical problems. And it's like, welcome to
Yeah.
the world of anything. You know, you have surprises and like we
Hmm.
could have been, both of us could have been flustered and like, oh,
Hmm.
let's cancel it. This is a big wreck. Let's
Hmm.
stop. And like, no, move forward. What have we learned? Move on. So it's learning to fail and fail a lot quickly, learn from it. Don't do the same thing over and over that you're failing. This doesn't not only apply to building your own business. It's everything in life. It's dating. You know, get used to like rejection. It's like getting into schools. Like you know, I've been
Hmm.
rejected. And listen, go watch Michael Jordan or some of the top athletes out there. You know, Wayne Gretzky, all the top ones have missed the vast majority of shots, whether it's in hockey or basketball, anyone. It's they just keep coming at it. They keep learning and they fail, pick themselves up and go at it again. And so, you know, if you're trying to date somebody, they said 5 times no, you know, just go to 6 time, try it a different way. You know, failure is just part of the journey. So, but really, really, but it's not easy. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I don't, it's not fun. Like when you fail.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the,
Yeah.
but that's welcome to, if you want to do some things great in life, that's what you need to do. I fully believe everyone is born with these huge shoes. We've got crazy potential. Each and every one of us, like, is Superwoman, Superman, like, really have crazy superpowers. But
Mm.
a very few that really lean in, because the only way you can realize your full potential is you got to fall on your face a lot, and you got to make a lot of mistakes. And
Mm.
we the vast majority, and it starts with me. Like the biggest challenge I have is it's the individual in the mirror, and like play small a lot of times. And when I'm playing from fear, I fail before I even started. And and
Mm.
um, and
Yeah.
when you really go for your dreams, you're going to fail, but you pick yourself up and keep going. And that's how you get to the top of Everest. That's how you become Michael Jordan. I've had the privilege to be around just like some amazingly successful individuals, and that's they're focused, they're intense, and they failed a ton, but they pick themselves up and keep going forward. And that doesn't mean they don't go a couple steps back all the time too, but yeah,
Got it. Yeah,
a
definitely.
great
Amazing.
question. Failure is an
Thank you.
integral part of success.
Yeah, for sure. That's an amazing answer. It's really inspiring. I'm really pumped up right now to just go do things. um, and just to connect it sort of to your journey, like where has failure sort of what parts of your journey have you maybe like failed or hit a roadblock, and how did you sort of learn from that experience and do a better job next time, or like pick yourself up if you can think of any of those points in your life?
Holy moly, I have so many of them. I don't even know where to begin. You
Mhm.
know, and in all aspects, it's from my business career, it's from relationships. You know, there's
Mhm.
like in high school, you know, I was kind of geeky and you know, like I wasn't the best at asking people out for dates, and like to
Mhm.
get rejected, that especially like the first couple times, that's not fun, especially when you're going to school with these people. So, but like
Yeah.
I had mentors on that side of the fence too, because a lot of times I was talking to my mentors about business, and invariably we'd start talking about like I don't have a date for the prom, and they're like, "What's the problem, man? It's all about statistics. Or just get out there and keep asking. If you ask 100, one will say yes." And it was like the same thing with sales. It's like don't take it personally, but put yourself out there. And like that was a lot
Mm.
easier said than done. But like actually, when I started using their advice, the more I started doing it, it's like, hey, this actually works. And then what happens? Then they start saying yes. And then there's also this thing where your confidence. You start getting more confident in yourself, and people can
Mm.
feel the confidence, and people are
Mhm.
attracted to confidence. So, so that's on the
Mm.
relationship side. On the business side, you know, I had a whole litany. Like when I was starting my tech company, Nor One. This is the one that handles the hotel reservations for hotel companies. Like like it was really hard to raise money. I was trying to raise money. You know, it was right after. You know, I think that this was we had a financial crisis. It was really difficult to raise money, and
Mm.
and so
Yeah.
finally
Yeah.
I got somebody, a big investor, to to raise money, and they committed to writing a big check, and I basically, went to all the other people and going, I've raised my money, I'm done, I'm going with this big investor. And then at the nth hour, not because of us, but they typically don't invest in earlier stage companies, and they pulled their investment. That I learned a lot from that process, how VCs and how this all things works. And so all of a sudden, I also started hiring, thinking I was going to get all this money. They told me to hire a lot of people, so I started hiring people. And all of a sudden, they pulled their money. So now I have these people. I don't have any money to pay them. And like, no matter how much people like you and like your vision, after a while, they want to get paid. And so, so here, and at the same time, I want to get paid. It was like, and like at any time that I wanted to quit and just like, woe is me, like I'm quitting, I'm done. And I just remember some of my mentors like, come on, Art, this is nothing, man. You've overcome so much. Like, this is any problem, turn it into opportunity for growth. This is a learning experience. You learned a ton. So, you learned what the big boys, you deal with some of these big VCs. They're like, welcome to the NBA, man. Don't in the future, unless the cash is in the bank, you keep courting other people, and because things may not unfold the way you think they're going to unfold. And so, you get beaten up, and so that's okay. And that's part of the process. And like, when they said it to me like that, and they're like, come on. And then all of a sudden I started kind of laughing. It's like, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm lucky that I have, I'm the big things in life, the most important. I won the lottery at birth. This is, a little bit what I learned. Now I'm 51. Little bit being born in the U.S., being born a white male, being born to having a family that my dad's physician. I had a roof over my head, I had food. I've always worked hard, but I had a nice tailwind in my sail. And I bring that up because I did philanthropy for the last 3 years, and I've spent a lot of time in at-risk communities. Oakland, the Bronx, South Side of Chicago. And all of a sudden, you spend some time with people that have had some real they're born and their mom has drug addictions, their father is in prison, they're living in public housing. This is, at birth, you're week one. And that's what there's bullet shots, your mom's getting beaten up by a boyfriend that's, on drugs. Like, you start thinking about real problems. And that's, some of my mentors gave this same lecture to me. They're like, Art, you think this is a problem where this VC pulled out at the last minute? Let me paint this picture. Put your big boy pants on and get out there and do what you need to do. And what happened is I lost some of the team members, but the ones that stayed, they really believed in what we were doing. Those are the exact people that needed to stay. They got equity in the company. And we busted our butt, and we came back, and the new investors that we got later were better than anyone that we dealt with, and it all worked out. And it's because we didn't give up. And yeah, you got to get out there and fight, but it's not easy. And yeah, a lot of stuff there, but I think you're hearing what I mixed a couple things too, because I also deeply care about, I believe we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. I don't care, what your race, religion, ethnicity, socioeconomic class, gender.
Yeah.
You're my brother from another mother. I've had the privilege to be over 100, live and spend time in over 120 countries, and we're all the same. We're all one, and we're all trying to figure through this thing called life. And if we don't figure out how to play together on this little small planet called Earth, we're either going to die together or succeed together. So I also and I love the younger generations, by the way. You guys get it. You guys understand there's this bigger picture. And we got to build great companies that create jobs and sustainability, but we also need to take care of our planet and our brothers and sisters. And it's not or, it's and. We can do all. It's people, planet, profit. We can do all three of these. And this is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is a purple issue. And more than anything, we got to get unified to really take it up a notch. And just, it's disappointing what I'm seeing in the world right now. But at the same time, it's opportunities for those like you guys. You guys, the younger generations, there's so much amazing opportunity, but this is the time for integrity, hard work, stepping up, and being okay to fail, but being honest, being truthful, being transparent. We need integrity, we need honesty, we need truth. There's so much opportunity to fly like we've never flown before, and I know there's people on this call, and I know you, the type of the communications I've had with you, these are the thoughtful leadership that I love. So go ahead. A lot of stuff there, but needless to say,
Thank you.
I believe in you guys. I believe in the people that are on this call. and I believe I'm bullish about our future, and because there are great people on the planet, and the vast majority I've met on this planet are amazing. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
100%. That's a really important message, and yeah, I mean that's something that really separates you, I think, and some a reason I really want to talk to you is not just you're not just concerned about like business entrepreneurship and like profit, but obviously from everything you've done, it's really focused on social impact. And I know like listening to another one of your interviews, you talked about how like that was something you didn't necessarily think about when you were younger, right? And you kind of maybe even regret like not taking that approach from an early age and like getting into maybe a biotech or something that could make a bigger impact later on. So yeah, actually, I'd love to like learn more about that point and ask you like how is that? What would you do like given that part like that social impact focus? How would you recommend like young people think about the future?
The another really actually your questions are so mature and involved. Like I wish I was like 1/10 the maturity that you are at your age, and but
Thank
like
you.
I'm not even there yet, and I'm 51. Is so one, you know, you're seeing a much different version of art than the younger version. I think I've always tried to be a good guy, honest, integrity, honesty, all these things, but I
Mhm,
didn't. I call it uh, before. Unfortunately, I went through a challenging divorce a couple of years ago, and kind of my life
mm,
divides up into pre-divorce, divorce, and post-divorce. In
mm,
pre-divorce, I call it kind of the art show. And when I say art show, I was pretty
mm,
selfish. I was pretty
mm,
much, it was about art. It's like, what makes art happy? I want to move to California. I want to go, windsurfing. I want to build a great company. I want to make money. I want a nice house. I want to fly around the world. It was much more just like, which is not wrong. There's nothing wrong of like, but
yeah.
thinking really of others. It wasn't really, quite frankly, until my
Mhm,
divorce and having my daughter. My daughter really started helping me
mm,
think about someone else other than myself.
mhm,
And and then, quite frankly, I was lucky as my businesses grew. I had quite a bit of success, and so
mhm,
all of a sudden, a lot of things that I kind of wanted in life, a lot of the materialistic things, I kind of got,
mhm,
and
mhm,
I there seemed like a big void. There was just there. I still was. I was. There was this emptiness, and then on top of it, a lot of the
mhm,
people that I really looked up to, like a lot of my mentors that I really looked up to, as I had more success, and then we became more like equals, and I got to know them, their families. I saw, in some areas they did really well, and they're
mhm,
really strong, like financially or their leadership abilities. But then I saw kind of their home life, and like their kids are on drugs. They
mhm,
don't spend any time with their kids. There's
mhm,
affairs. There's all this
mhm,
crazy stuff, and what I started learning is like I love the Bay Area. I think that the Bay is a very special because it has this amazing entrepreneurial spirit. There's amazing stuff going on here, but there's a lot of crazy going on here. Like we have these like, hyper driven people that a lot of
mhm,
them have accomplished a lot, but a lot of them are like
mhm,
we're all like that also comes with a selfishness and a maniacal, it's all about
mhm,
me and I.
mhm,
And
mhm,
in that way that's healthy, but I'm as I've gotten older, I think it needs to be an and. It's an I and a we. And so
mhm,
I just started questioning a lot of things in life. And what I thought was this is going back to Lao Tzu, wisdom is knowing
mhm,
others, enlightenment is understanding yourself. Is like a lot of things that I thought were make me happy. Yeah, that was okay. It was great to, have the financial success and whatever. But there's still a lot of void. And what some of my mentors started saying, all right, you need to start doing something for others. And they advocated, getting involved in philanthropy and specifically actually just volunteering. They're like, spend some of your time. You don't need to have any like, and I challenge everyone that's on this call or this conference or anyone that sees this talk is I don't care. You don't need to have any money. You have time and go
mhm,
over to the local. I'm using the Boys and Girls Club as an example because that was, you know, and some of my mentors are on the board there, and I'm so glad. Like the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, they go over there
mhm,
to East Palo Alto and go and say, can I volunteer? And so I
mhm,
started volunteering in the school there with some of the younger kids,
mhm,
and I was just so naive and ignorant of like what's going on in our backyard. Here it is, like here's one of the Palo Alto is one of the wealthiest, most educated places on the freaking planet. And literally across, a couple of miles away, now it's changing a lot. Unfortunately, it's getting gent. I don't want to use the word unfortunate, but it's just changing. But like, no clean water, no internet. Like it's like crazy. Like until you actually spend time there, it's like, are you kidding me? And then actually really seeing kids that like their father is in a gang or their father's in prison, or you see the kids at school that they're wearing the same clothes every day, and you start seeing like they haven't eaten, and you start thinking about the problems that you have. My little problems that I think they're like my little luxury problems. Are you kidding me? And so I
Hmm.
learned so much from volunteering, exponentially more than anything I could have. I was teaching kids math and reading, but they taught me their parents, and I saw their work ethic. I saw a lot of these moms and dads, singles moms and dads, working 3 jobs. A lot of them illegal immigrants, but like busting their butt, like paying taxes. Like I don't know. I just grew up kind of in a white bubble, to be honest. And the more I've
Hmm.
learned, I was ignorant and naive, and I want to
Hmm.
learn and be better. You'll hear a
Hmm.
motto with me. My company, RS11,
Hmm.
our tagline is "Be Better," and
Hmm.
in all aspects, on the individual, full realization of your individual skill sets, but then also we want to help businesses be much more effective running their business using our big data and artificial intelligence. So I can't emphasize enough. Go volunteer. Like in some of
Hmm.
these under resourced communities, you're going to learn so much, and you're going to evolve and mature. And the more we do that, you're going to learn. They're going to give you a lot more than you'll ever be able to give them. And I'm not pointing specifically at you. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about the royal. And ever since, the more I
Yeah.
got involved, and the more I got educated, the more I just and it goes hand in hand. Like we're all going to go down together, or we're going to
Hmm.
succeed together. This planet is so small. Like I've
Hmm.
had the privilege to travel a ton. I've spent a lot of my life living outside of the U.S. My former wife
Hmm.
was Russian, so I lived in Russia. I've lived all over the place,
Hmm.
and and what do we have? 7.2 billion people on this planet now, and in like 17 years, we're going to be up at 9 billion. Like we're this on this little marble flowing through the universe, and if we can't figure this out, and like the whole
Hmm.
global warming and everything else that we got to understand our brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. It's not me against them. It's not Republican against Democrat or whatever. Like it's like we got to come together and solve this as
Yeah.
one humanity, or we're all going to go down. So a lot of stuff there,
Yeah.
but does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I guess like that's something I've been, I mean, thinking about it a lot because I can obviously relate to the same thing. I guess problem is that being in sort of a bubble here in Silicon Valley, and not even in Silicon Valley, like you said, just parts of Palo Alto are not, it's not the same. But living myself in a bubble, sort of, I haven't really experienced that sort of like even in the abstract, knowing these problems like climate change and poverty exist. Like you don't really, I think it's hard to really care as much or have that much empathy unless you like experience it, unless you volunteer and like live it in a way and like just really be there. So I think that's definitely something I'm gonna do, and that's some great actionable advice that I want to take on, and I think others can as well.
And
Um,
I challenge everyone, anyone
mhm.
that's hearing this,
Yeah,
um, we're all responsible. This is really the
yeah,
biggest thing is the individual in the mirror. Like
hmm,
that's the only thing you have control over too. And if you're a person that's constantly complaining about someone else, then the issue is work on yourself and
hmm,
get better, go higher, improve, learn. And actually, I really appreciate in the chat. I'm seeing different people weigh in, and so and you don't have to agree with me either. I'm also open to having healthy discussion and debate. Like
hmm,
we don't, but for those that are out there, the things that are resonating with me, I'm going to also share with you my email address, and don't hesitate to reach out, because I believe it takes a team. Another part, my company's name is RS11. Why the 11 is 1 + 1 = 11. I believe that people have similar values and mindset, we can move mountains. So
hmm,
1 + 1 can
hmm,
equal 11. 11% of the equity of the company is allocated for social impact work. I want to build one of the fastest growing $1 billion companies
Hmm.
in the next couple of years, and we want 11% of that equity to go to reducing homelessness, substance abuse, incarceration, a litany of things. That being said, my email is art norins Norins at harthub.org. Once again,
Hmm.
it's art.norins Norins at harthub.org. So, and maybe at some point you can post that or publish that. And
Yep.
I just more, oh, thank you. You got it. No. That's not it. It's
Sorry.
hearthub.org.
Oh, I missed the dot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So
put in the
you go.
chat, and once this is yeah, once the episode is uploaded, I think it'll be in the description, or yeah, you can um, I mean, I think you can refer back to it and get the email. So yeah, that should be good. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that amazing advice and amazing like insights, not just for us like as a business, not just from a business perspective, but also like how we as individuals. I mean, this is a really obviously a very precarious time for society, and especially now more than ever, it's really important to be thinking about how you can like contribute to the world and help solve these problems like climate change and just the pandemic and everything and make it a better place. So yeah, and yeah, could you actually talk more about? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think there was a question too in the chat about I think something about quality
Yeah.
of life, but I'm not seeing it right now. But please,
Um,
if somebody sends me an email, please reference in the subject line
mhm.
this talk. And then if I don't reply to you in 72 hours, send me another email because it's I don't take it personally. This is going back. It's just I get a ton of stuff, but like it sometimes takes me 3 times. So just don't take it personally. Just keep hitting me. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I can personally attest to that. That I followed up, and here we are talking to the having this conversation. So definitely, yeah, really appreciate you getting back to me, and I think, yeah, definitely reach out. I would love to get to some of these questions. I don't know if I think we're running on to more than
It's
five.
okay.
So I okay, cool.
We're okay.
Awesome. So yeah, let me just ask. So I think a previous question that might be more interesting from Tweet Baby in the chat, in the Twitch chat is what are you? I think this is a pretty broad question, and I we might have covered parts of it, but how do you basically think about what you want to do in life? Is it like obviously that's a really big question that a lot of us are wrestling with, but is it like based on people just want to go for what you're passionate about or what you're good at? And I know there's like a concept, I don't want to keep talking, but basically like how do you think about like doing something that you're good at versus that you might love versus also social impact? Like how do you balance like the different and making money, obviously, like as getting it to be sustainable? How do you balance these things?
So first of all, this is not simple. So all you
Yeah.
guys, this has been a
Yeah.
process and a journey. It's a process and a journey. So you want to manage
Mhm.
your expectations that like,
Mhm.
you know, very few people that I meet like are just born knowing, hey, this is exactly what my purpose is. This is what I should be doing. And then like they do it, they can pay the bills, they make money. Like it's not like that. It's a process and it's failing a lot and it's also trying a lot of things. I'm a big advocate. I call the buffet of life. Constantly be trying things because it's just as important to understand what you don't like as what you do like, and that goes with work. It goes with people. Like meet constantly trying to meet people, and when you meet somebody, after you meet them, are you inspired? Do they give you energy? Do or are they like, do they drain you? You're the average of the
Mhm.
5 people you surround yourself with. And
Mhm.
look at the people around you. Are they inspiring you? Are they pushing you to be better? Are they pushing you to learn? Are they pushing you to reflect? Or are they toxic? Are they're pulling you down? Like you
Mhm.
just don't overanalyze it. When you're doing something, does it give you a positive? And that's whether you're with a person or this can be a family member. I love
Mhm.
my family, but there's some family members I love them, but like you know what, I need them in a small dosage, and I've learned that's not wrong. It's okay. And the same thing, I ask, potentially when people are trying to find their purpose or trying to figure out what they want to do, is what do you like doing like on a weekend when your
Mm,
parents are not around? If you're unsupervised, how do you spend your time? And and depending on the age, it's a common question, common answer I get to this from a lot of like high school students, middle school, especially boys, men, like video games, love video games. You know, and I don't mean to be stereotypical, but whatever. But I also don't think that's bad. It's like, okay, well, if you're really passionate about that, then what else what do you like about that?
mm,
And maybe you're interested in maybe designing your own game or maybe marketing. I don't, but I do think, like my daughter loves putting on events. Like she
mm,
loves working with people and
mhm,
she's very creative. And so, loves putting on. What I loved is, she put on a lot of the events at Cupertino High School. And so where I'm
mhm,
going with that is first, what do you do in your free time? What are you kind of passionate in doing? And because that's where it comes naturally to build a great company or whatever you're doing. It's a marathon, and like you better love doing what you're doing because you're going to be doing it a lot. And normally the people that succeed are the ones that are passionate about it. And like they're most of the entrepreneurs I meet that build like great companies, they're solving a problem that they personally wanted solved. Like, whatever, Steve Jobs with the iPod, he didn't like, the MP3 players. He wanted something very simple and intuitive and like without instructions and like was cool to open. And like
mhm,
he built a product and that he wanted. And so lo and behold, a lot of other people want that. And Howard Schultz, Starbucks, he wanted a great experience, a cup of coffee. And so, and you in crazy passionate about coffee. So if you're crazy passionate and you feel like there's a service or or a product that's not out there that you would like to see, then I bet there's other people. So um, so when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, is one is how do you spend your free time and kind of what are your interest areas and spend more time there.
mm,
Another thing that I found helpful that other mentors have told me is if someone told you you only have 6 months to live, and I'm not being morbid here, but it's getting clarity of what's important and what's not important. And God forbid if unfortunately, I went through that was a big learning and growing experience for myself when I was in my 40s, and some of my close friends died from cancer, like crazy healthy people, because you're kind of feeling like you're going to live forever, or at least at that age, 30, 40. All of a sudden, you see a friend that's like a triathlete, amazing, like great shape. All of a sudden, he's diagnosed with cancer, and then 6 months, he's dead. And then you start thinking about, hey, maybe I should be spending my time in a different way. And like if all of a sudden,
mhm,
unfortunately, one of the things I wasn't in the best relationship, and that gave me real clarity that like maybe
mm,
we need to go our separate ways. Either try to fix the relationship and make it positive, or go our separate. Life time is our most valuable asset. Choose wisely how you use it. Every breath is a gift, and
mhm,
mentors have told me if you only have 6 months to live, what would you do? If you only had a month to live, what would you do? If you only had a week to live, what would you do? If you only had an hour to live, or a day, how would you spend? I wake up every morning and I'm really intentional. I think through, you know, I love everybody on this planet, but I'm pretty picky on who I spend time with. Like this, I'm not looking, but like, I really respect you. I like how you reached out to me. I want to help people be the best that they can be. I could care less if anyone knows who I am. I, I really just want people, because I think if everyone figures out really who they are and then really follows their heart, like we have a beautiful planet. Like it's a beautiful symphony. The problem is a lot of us, we work out of fear. We don't fully realize who we're meant to be. And
mm,
we get this dysfunctional kind of world that we have. And so, but I have a lot of hope for that people will lean in, figure out what they really love doing and go after it. So there's something about if you really think, okay, if someone quickly, like, God forbid, someone told you, you're only going to live for a week. So how are you going to spend that week? And what bubbled up for me, I actually recommend everyone that hears me. You've probably, if you heard me do a TED talk or whatever, I've said this before. Take a pad
yeah,
of paper and a pen
mm,
and go. I'm big about handwriting things and journaling. And so
mm,
go find a tree, go sit under a tree and go, if I was only going to live for a week, or if I'm going to only live for a day, someone just tells me tomorrow is my last day of living, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend it? And with who are you going to spend it? And what are you going to do during that day? That will help you get more clarity about what's important to you and what's not important to you.
Mm.
Spend time doing what's things that are important to you. So those are
Yeah.
some tools. Those are some tools that hopefully will help you get more clarity on how you should spend your life, your purpose, those kind of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I'm gonna do that right after this talk and go. I actually have a tree in my backyard, so that's perfect.
And then maybe it's not a tree. It's a nice, like maybe your bed or
Yeah,
whatever, wherever you feel
yeah,
safe, comfortable, in a good
mm,
place. And do it
mm,
also at a time of day that feels right. Some people are morning people.
mm,
Some people are night people. Go whenever watch your body feelings, your energy
mm,
level when you're around people or times of days. You'll just notice if you're quiet and you listen to yourself, you'll start learning what your body really and your mind and your heart likes and what it doesn't, and trust that. Just trust those feelings. Feelings are it's like a
mm,
sensor alarm system. Listen to your feelings. They'll guide you to where you need to go. Sorry, go ahead.
mm. No, definitely. Yeah, yeah, like intuition. Instead of, I think a lot of people have mentioned the importance of, yeah, like your intuition or your feeling. Instead of, it's really hard to make these kind of decisions just based on, I guess, trying to like reason it out, right? So yeah, just thinking, like kind of trying to feel that, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Like whatever feels right instead of, yeah, that's why it's hard to give advice to people. Like for anyone to, I guess, just tell someone else what to do or like how to live their life. Like you kind of have to, it depends on the person, right? But obviously advice like this is definitely useful to figure that stuff out. So yeah, you reference your TED talk, and I think definitely I'd really recommend people check that out and check out your. I think you gave talks at Berkeley that are also on YouTube. I think those will link. I'll link to that in the once this is up. But those are really were really useful for me, and definitely really interesting if you want to get more insights from art. So I guess I'll just to end with a final question, just to leave people with a more like I guess a concrete takeaway is what would you say are the most your like most recommended or maybe most influential books or just resources that you've accessed that have like shaped your worldview and really influenced you?
No, great question. So, you know, first and foremost, mentors. If there's somebody in your life that's a little bit
Mm,
older than you, and they don't necessarily need to be older than you, but someone that you respect and like
mm,
you watch them and they kind of it seems like they're doing things that resonate with you and you're kind of like want to
mm,
emulate them
mm,
is reaching out to them, because what I
mm.
found is people want to help. Like no different. Like you reached out to me, I'm not getting paid for this. This is my weekend. And it's
Yeah.
because I deeply care. I deeply care about our planet and the
Mhm,
people on this planet. And hopefully, because I've screwed up a lot of stuff in life. And so hopefully some of my wisdom and experience, you don't have to reinvent the wheel that I went through and you guys can benefit from it. And so what I've found, like the world is really giving. Like if you're sincere and authentic, when I approach people that I really like kind of looked up to, and it's amazing like the people I've gotten access to and have been mentors to me. Like really big
mhm,
name people that I would never think that a kid from, Indiana would ever have access to, but they felt that I was genuine and
mhm,
sincere, and like I had read their book or I'd done a lot of research on them, and like
mhm,
they knew that like I really respected them, and so they felt that energy, and they've been very supportive of me. So what I found is, people want to help. People want to help people, and so if you get back from the world what you put out. You give somebody a hug, you get a hug back. You call somebody a jerk, they'll call you a jerk back. If you're honest and sincere, going, hey, I really respect you. I want to learn from you. UPS CEO. They'll take their time and help you. So one is I think mentors are extremely valuable.
mhm,
Um, two, actually, and also there's a website, the Global Network, that
mhm,
they have some really good interviews on that,
mhm. Okay.
gmn.net.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of just Google on YouTube. There's a lot of great mentors videos.
Mm,
Then the others, like books, I'm huge on biographies. if there's
Mhm.
somebody you respect, like historical people, it's you know there's qualities that I look for in people as I get older, and it doesn't matter if they're alive or have passed away. That's what's beautiful about reading, and so I'm a ferocious reader, and so at one point in time I was reading a lot more about entrepreneurship and people that are founders that have built companies. Then later on in my life, I got really interested in different religions, and so I did a
Mm.
deep dive on different religions all over the world, and so all religions. And so, as a ferocious reader on religion and philosophy, um, but a big book that stuck out for me is Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for
Mm.
Meaning. It's by a gentleman, Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
It's not a long read, but I think, and it's in it.
Yeah.
I know it's Man's Search for Meaning, but it could be Women's Search for Meaning. It's just humanity's search for meaning. And it was a gentleman that was in the concentration camps during the Holocaust, and I think here is this horrific. His family was killed in the gas chamber. Like, it's like the worst of the worst. But he found meaning in in this pain. In this, where I believe a lot of times too, learning and growth takes pain. It's no different than
Mm.
physically getting in shape, kind of no pain, no gain. To grow and learn, to really go to the next level, it takes it's challenging and painful, and we fall down, and it's not fun. But normally, those those that can pick themselves and what did I learn from this? Those are the amazing people that are well on their way to realizing their full potential. So mentors, that book, but also a lot of biographies, history, anything, history repeats itself. And so we can learn a
Yeah.
lot from that. And I also share this with you. If you're listening to me speak and you're fortunate enough to have a couple people that really love you, and those people can come in a lot of different forms. It could be mom and dad, it can be, a foster parent, it can be a sibling, it can be a significant other, whatever. There's going to be, I call them your board of advisors. There's going to be people that really care about you, and they'll, want to give you advice and help you on your journey.
Mhm.
And if you're fortunate enough to have kind of two loving parents, they won't want you to make the mistakes that they made, and they're going to try to do the best of their ability to give you good advice. And I applaud that, and I think it's awesome. But I think these are your advisors. At the end of the day, you have to fly your own plane, and especially if you're hearing this and you're 18 and older, is you may get advice from somebody that that your mother, your father, or somebody else that deeply loves you, and they tell you to go south, and they'll have all these reasons why you go south. You should go south, but when you listen to them in your heart, it just doesn't seem like that's where you want to go. You want to go north,
Mhm.
and so
Mm.
trust your heart. Trust your
Mhm.
heart. At the end of the day, the buck needs to stop with you. This is your life. And you're not your mom, you're not your dad, you're not your significant other, you're not your sister, your brother, your best friend, whatever. And what's what may be right for them, and they have your best interest in mind, but they're not you. And so have the confidence and the courage to listen to your little heart of what it's telling you to do, and at the end, fly your own plane. And yeah. So is that
Yeah, those are amazing. That's a great place to end, I think. And yeah, thank you so much, Art, for coming on, sharing your insight from everything you've done and what you've learned. And I think this has been tremendously useful for me and just impactful, and I hopefully for others as well. So yeah, thank you so much. And again, if you want to, if you like just joined or you weren't able to see the whole thing, we'll be publishing this on the 21st Century Visionary podcast, and also I think it'll be on Twitch and YouTube, so you can definitely refer back to it. And yeah, again, thank you, Art.
no, my pleasure. And I just say to those that I see in the chat there's some additional questions or people in the future that'll be watching this video. You have my email address. I like to engage with Planet Earth, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to send me an email, and I'll try to answer your questions offline, and support you in any way I can. And I just repeat, if I don't respond immediately, I do I've got a lot on my plate, but I do try to eventually get back. And so just thank you for being patient. It's been an honor to be with all you guys. Those that I see you in the chat that have been weighing in, I really appreciate your guys' contribution in participating on a Sunday and voicing your opinions and thoughts. You've done a great job as a host and an interviewer. Your questions, I've gotten interviewed a lot by a lot of different and a lot of people that this is their livelihood, and they've been doing it for many, many years, and they're paid professionals, and you're right there and just very thoughtful. And so you have a big ally in me. If there's anything else I can do for you and support what you're doing. And so I just wish everyone the best and onward and upward and trust your heart. So love you guys and have a great day.
Awesome. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.